Good morning.
Hey Dale, how are you?
It's afternoon over there.
Huh?
I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
afternoon
it's
over
about to
there.
be. We're 2 minutes from it. Wonder if there's a way to just let people automatically come in here. I don't think there is. Um, how's business?
Well, this week it's been good. I picked up three listings.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and the it's so nice. The one I met yesterday is a small commercial building that I sold to these people back in 2006. And they're marriage counselors. And during COVID, they went remote. So their building's been sitting vacant. It's just a small 2,800 square foot building. Uh, and But what I found out, well, they sent me a text last week saying, "Hey, we'd like to sell our building. Is this something you can help us with?" Because I'm not known for commercial, you
Right.
know, and I've done probably four transactions with these people, partnerships, and they had it listed for a year and a half with a fellow, this commercial building with no activity, and it's in a really rough area, and it does not look good around there. And it's so easy to talk to people. I said, hey, you missed your market and you haven't adjusted your price to compensate for the high interest rates. You had this on the market when interest rates are low and you completely missed it. And obviously the other agent just let that listing just sit there and rot, and
Right.
didn't have any communication with them. And I said, you know me, I'm going to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear.
Right.
And they shook their head, yeah. And I says, your price is too high regardless because it hasn't sold in a year and a half. And so I gave them new ideas, some fresh ideas, and they were happy to hear that. So I got that listing. I got a listing last week of a fixer upper that was a referral from a past client. And once again, it's just it's easy to talk to them. I don't go in there with anything set up or a listing presentation or anything. I just go in there and start talking to them. And then what was the third listing I got? Oh, anyways, I got another one. I got to think about it. So I'll be working on those today. I talked to a fellow last night that's got a rental house he wants to sell, but that won't be happening till probably June. And he's a past client, and I haven't seen or heard of him for years. I mean, I sent him the postcard, sent him the newsletter, but I think the referrals while you sleep is certainly helping. And
That's awesome.
with the commercial building, I'm certain that the referrals while you sleep. I didn't ask him, but it's I'm definitely top of mind. Whereas they're splitting the one partner, he's retired, they're retired, so they're splitting half of their time in another town in Washington State. And so I know they're not getting my postcard or newsletter because I didn't even have their address,
Right.
you know. So
That's awesome.
so that's
Hey,
good news.
Michael, Jessica.
How's it
Dale
going?
got 3 listings this week, and few of them were from people that he hadn't personally talked to in a few years. So
That's
refer
awesome.
while you sleep for the win.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
was
I
this?
can tell you. We picked up a construction loan inquiry that we can't help because of the type of transaction it happened to be. But I'm pretty sure it had to be referral while you sleep, Charlie, because to your point, it's somebody who we've never had in our database. We've never done a loan for, and it's just kind of a distant friend of my wife's from when we lived in Spokane 10 years ago. So to me, I pretty much attribute it to referral while you sleep for the win on that one.
Yeah. Or maybe he just randomly woke up one morning and thought about friends from 10 years ago. It's like, you know what?
Yeah,
Are they still in lending?
yeah.
That's so awesome. That's all. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that shocked me about it is just how many people I know that for whatever reason I don't think to add to my database because you know whatever reason, like we were friends. I don't, blah blah blah. But now they see me. How's business for you, Jim?
Things are good. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of on a listing roll myself, and uh, I'm sure a lot of, like advertising comes from all different sources. And what you guys are doing for me is definitely a big piece of the pie. What's coming down for people to increasing the visibility, it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's been exciting because, I kind of ran out of closings. So now getting these listings will kind of make the spring nice once we get things moving, get them sold. So it's really, really exciting stuff. I'm getting so busy with that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, wow, I always go out of town at the wrong time, coming up here, going to Bro Vance, going to San Diego, and then I'm going to my daughter's after that. But that's part of what it's all about is you get busy when you plan a trip.
It's the secret for whatever reason. If you
Yeah, I
want to
know.
get busy, plan a trip.
We talked about that 2 weeks ago for sure. I remember talking to you guys about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Business going well for y'all, Jessica, Dana, Tony Ray. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's good.
I think this is going to be a good year for us.
I think it's gonna be an awesome year.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just got off a call with Jeff Robbins, not to open up a can of worms again, but that NAR talk was kind of a big part of our conversation. And Tony had some great comments. Dale had some great comments, so appreciate you guys making those comments.
What what was kind of the cliff notes of that?
It was Jeff had a meeting with a new bro member, and he was just asking how it works. And she's a hitter. She does about 60 transactions a year, and she's at the retirement age, wondering if she wants to stay in the business, doesn't. But anyway, long story short, she was working with a buyer. They made a cash offer. The seller came back and wanted to reduce the commission because they
Yeah.
know they can. And so the conversation is how would we handle that? What are our thoughts? And so nobody in our group kind of panicked like the woman because we're kind of prepared with this because we have those conversations.
Right.
And so the woman apparently ended up caving and took the 1% commission to make the sale for her client, because she didn't have a buyer's broker agreement. And to have a pre to know what the commission was going to be regardless.
Right.
So it hurts, but it's just a learning curve. You don't do it a second time.
Yeah.
Up here, what I wanted to share with the other group is in the state of Washington, we can't even go out there and show a property without having a buyer agency agreement. And I see that as scaring people away that are not, they don't know me, and they don't know that they want to work with me and all this stuff. Now we have exclusive agency and a non-exclusive agency that we can share with these people. And it needs some time, but our state has already got in front of this. So I don't think it's really going to be an issue here, but I do see, like I said in the other group, a negotiation strategy on the seller's side to take the commission away if they're giving concessions on something else.
Yeah,
Right.
the other cliff note too was the fact that this is probably going to weed out a lot of realtors. And I wasn't sure if I believe that, but I'm always surprised when I hear that because but until I remember what happened in the year 2000 in Denver, at the time we were going from mechanical lock boxes to electronic lock boxes.
Yeah.
And for something as simple as that, we lost a lot of realtors because they didn't want to deal with electronic boxes just because of the lockbox. So
Really?
this is a much bigger issue. And we lost so many realtors from that because, you know, apparently there's always a big pool of realtors that must be sitting on the fence and they're ready to jump if something changes they don't like. And and this is way bigger than lock boxes, like by tenfold. And even though it is kind of something simple, but in people's minds, it's much bigger. It's all what we create in our own minds is what is the problem. Like we can create fear from anything. And like we shouldn't be afraid of this. The reason why we're so afraid of it is we're creatures of habit. And we have had the co-op put in our MLS system since decades and decades ago, and now all of a sudden they're taking it out and people are freaking out. It's like, it doesn't mean it's going away, but they think it is, or they're afraid to negotiate it, you know? And
Right.
that's what you were talking about, Dale, because she didn't know how to negotiate it. She didn't know how to, like before, like the money's just there. And it's like you don't ever have to worry about it because the co-op is showing up. But if it's taken away, they don't know how to negotiate their own fee, you know?
You know, the other thing that was interesting to me was Claudia's story about getting sued for uh racism or whatever. And I can see, you know, she protected herself because she could show a track record that she always charged the same thing. Uh, and so that saved her. But I can certainly see that popping up in this other scenario of where we're going. You know, you may charge one client 2.5, or you may give up some commission on one client, and the other client you don't give up anything, and the other person, the people become upset or whatever. So
Hey,
that's an interesting scenario.
hey
You
Dale,
guys call that fair housing, don't you? Like it's fair
Yeah,
housing laws.
yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that mentioned, Dale, because I've been waiting for that to pop up, that's a key component of the loan officer compensation laws that changed, which is, you know, we have to make the same percentage on every deal, regardless of the transaction. And part of that is exactly what you're talking about, which is otherwise it leads to discrimination. And there's big questions. And so kind of as I've been watching this lawsuit and settlement from NAR around, you know, the realtor commissions, it's interesting because that part of it has never popped up, which is the negotiable aspect of it. And I can see that being round two, which is once this settlement is done, now the civil rights organizations get involved, and now they start suing for discriminatory practices because who are you lowering your commission for and who are you not lowering your commission for? So I'd get ready for that.
yeah. And you know, Claudia, she had all of her ducks in a row. She was in very good shape. She got busted for she didn't give a closing gift to this one person. Well, she decided not to give him a closing gift because she knew they were suing her.
Right.
I mean, that's what she said. And so it's just those kind of
There was
just
something else
frustrating.
about she didn't deliver the earnest money in time either, and she got
Yeah.
fined $3,000.
But that's through the MLS, you know, that or her association of realtors. You know, that had nothing to do with, you know, fair housing.
True.
But that's all they could find on her. So, you know, she has a pretty clean slate except for those two items, and sometimes those items happen.
Probably even more important than ever to be picky about your clients.
Yes. You know, in the state of Washington, you can do a dual agency, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, you're hanging yourself out there too far. I used to do maybe between 1 and 3 a year, but I only did it when I knew my clients, and some instances I sat them both down at the same table and said, this is what I can do, and this is what I can't do. You guys hash it out.
Right.
Today, the way our MLS is writing the new rules and laws, you just don't even want to go down that road.
One of the things that I didn't bring up on that last call was when a buyer, like I have a buyer that is 5 doors down from me and they wanted to see a house. I had actually never had met them. They're like one of my pretty close neighbors and I haven't met them. And they wanted me to show a house with a drop of the hat because it's a real hot listing. And it's like, well, what do you do? Like, you don't even have time to do an initial consultation. So I just ran over and showed them the house. And then what do you do with open houses? Like, are you going to do a buyer agency for everybody that walks in the front door? No. So like it's going to be challenging to kind of figure out how to get a buyer agency completed, on every single buyer.
Well, you could do it site specific at an open house if they write an offer on it. Or if you just ran over and showed somebody a house, just do it for that house if they aren't ready to commit.
Yeah, that's a good point too. You could put in a one listing. It's almost like a one buyer listing for a house sale, a listing. You could do the same thing, a one property showing buyer agency or something
Yeah.
like that.
Because the law in Oregon is you can't show any houses without a buyer broker agreement starting in July. So, you just have to start having that conversation sooner than you would normally want to with somebody you don't know.
And I've done buyer agencies, to be honest with you, sometimes like 3 days before closing. I better get that buyer agency done before we close. And there's been a couple, I'm going to be completely transparent. My assistant said, you closed on this transaction, you never got the buyer agency done. And so I'm actually doing the buyer agent, because in our contract to purchase, it said I was a buyer agent, but I never did the buyer agency form. And so then I'm doing the buyer agency after closing, just so that when I get audited by the real estate commission, that I actually had one and I predated it, and so like, I'm going to have to really change. And in Colorado, though, as far as I know, is we're not going to be required to do a buyer agency, but we're going to be doing them more. And I'm probably on every transaction now.
Yeah, here we can't get paid if we don't have a buyer agency.
Not here.
On the purchase and sale, it says what the commission is, what the seller is offering. But if we don't have that buyer's agency, we still don't get a check.
Is that from your company?
MLS.
That's MLS.
Yeah, our multiple listing service.
Wow, every time I talk to you guys, it's amazing how different it is in all these different states. Like it's
Well, we
so
just
different.
changed it. I think Washington just changed it too a year ago.
Yeah, it's all pretty recent.
Wow. Okay, so that might be coming down the pipeline for Colorado too. We'll have to see.
Well, it would save the situation where that woman that Jeff, introduced us to, that situation won't come up now. Meaning you will have a buyer's agency to show that your client, this is what you're going to get paid. How do you want to negotiate the transaction? You want to just add it to the price? How do you want to do it?
Yep, it's pretty crazy. It's going to be like, I'm going to be emailing my neighbor 5 doors down saying, hey, you need to sign a listing agreement or a buyer agency agreement before I can show you this house. I'm just going to have to have that. I'm just going to have that done. I'm not used to that.
Now
you sound like everybody else.
I know, it's true.
Up until our new rules, I never had a buyer agency agreement ever.
What's that again, Dale?
I never had a buyer's agency agreement ever up until now when the MLS was forcing me. But I only lost probably 2 transactions in 20 years. And I figured, and it was a blessing in disguise that they didn't want to work with me. Move on.
Here, I was part of a group one time. They taught me, this was probably 7 years ago. You know, like I sat down with my clients, I got a buyer agency agreement because I got a broker commission, and I'd tell them, you know, hey, look, I get paid 3% of the commission or of the real estate price. Usually the seller pays all of that or most of that. If not, I can usually get that covered through closing cost. If not, we'll have a conversation about it. And, you know, so I started doing that here, which was great because, you know, when the market was crazy hot, people were offering 2%, 2.5%. And, you know, I didn't want what I got paid to be dependent on what the listing agent decided to pay, you know, and it just having that conversation up front was, I mean, it's made me a lot of money just, you know, laying it out that way.
One of the things that I was relearned once again is the co-ops are different all over the country. I mean, like, it's like what's standard is not, there is no standard. I mean, it's like, it's all over the board. There's traditions in areas, it seems like. I know here in Denver, we're a little bit higher than, and there's some places that are higher than here, and then California is really low, you know, so like you see all different kinds of co-ops fees. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I wanted to, unless someone else has something to add to that, I wanted to share with you an idea kind of, and it's about this, like, how do we show our value through referrals while you sleep? And I was actually talking to Joe Allen last week, if y'all remember Joe Allen from Minnesota. And we're talking about actually putting out some offers, some specific offers to individuals. And, you know, we haven't done that in referrals while you sleep. It's been, you know, we've got the videos and we've got the testimonials, build the influence. But I was like, well, what if we did that? Like, what if there was like an offer a month that we ran to the people, you know, or a quarter, and like offers that could share your expertise. And so I'd love y'all's thought. Like, would y'all like to have a video or have something that made an offer to your sphere of influence?
Give me an idea what you're talking about.
I mean, it could be a room by room review. You know, it could be, you know, pinpoint price analysis. If we're going listings, you know, listing type offers. You know, it could be, you know, me and Tony Ray, we're actually working on this course for real estate investment. So, you know, our offer is going to be like, hey, you know, go here to go through this course. And, you know, my thought with that is, like, as me and Tony Ray are going through this course, creating it, without a doubt, smart people are going to be like, I'm willing to pay you to be my real estate agent to enact this investment strategy. Like, no one else is sharing this. And I guess one of the fascinating things is, as me and Tony Ray have been working on kind of the parts of it, it's kind of expanded like spaghetti. Like, there's so much that he knows. I've added a little bit. Like, there's really so much stuff that we know that, like, when we lay out our value like that, it really blows someone's mind. And they're like, I want you to do it. And they're more likely to say, like, I'll pay you. Like, you're going to help me get 5 homes in 10 years and, you know, 2 million in net worth that might become 4 million in 10 years. Like, that's awesome. And so I love the thought of some kind of like training offer, you know, what your expertise is. Jim, you unmuted. Did you have some thought?
Oh, I've just been unmuted because it's not real noisy around my house right now.
Oh, nice. Nice.
But I will interject something. I think you guys, like, I really, really think that we need to show our value. I agree with you, Charlie, so much. Like, I think that we at Buy Referral only have so much to offer. And one of the things that I need to be a little more creative in what I'm going to do for my buyers to show more value. I think I can, but I know when I do listings, because I'm going to be talking about this in Bro Vance, is that when I do listings, I do these video walking tours with voiceover, and I can tell you that nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing it. Agents, they like to do things the easy way most of the time, right? They like to, hire somebody to take pictures, and then they might do a Matterport. They might do that kind of stuff. But if you really show that you're doing something different but valuable, and they can see the value in it, then that helps compensate for what you're being paid. Because I had a really good friend of mine, of course, he's an attorney. I mentioned this briefly in the last video, or the last Zoom. He just thinks that realtors get paid too much, but I had to explain to him. I spent about 45 minutes talking to him because he just, as an attorney, they get paid by the hour. He says we do work on a contingency basis sometimes, like we do take on cases, and we say, hey, if we win in court, I get paid. If we lose in court, I don't get paid. And so that they take on those cases sometimes. But I told him, I said, we take on a contingency basis every single time. And I said, one of the things that you don't understand is that I've sold 1,872 houses in my career in the last 40 years. But the thing you don't know is that I probably have had 600 of them, 600 besides that I helped that didn't close, and I worked for free, and I never got anything. And like for most realtors, that puts them out of the business. When they lose clients, they eventually say, I can't work for free anymore. I'm getting out of this business. But they don't see what the possibilities are in the future for getting maybe referrals, or the next client's going to be a better client, and so on. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have to lose so much to gain so much. And then he kind of said to me, he goes, well, I don't want to have to pay a high commission just because you're losing business to get business. And I said, well, that's just the way the business was built. It was built that way because we're not attorneys. We work on every single transaction as a contingent basis. So we're bound to do a lot of free stuff.
Right.
You mentioned room by room reviews. We could do 20 room by rooms reviews in a year, and maybe one or two of those you might get a listing. And so those other 8 you did were just free services. Yeah, we do a lot of free services in our business. We do a lot of CMAs for free, right? We do a lot of CMAs. We never get the listing. And so then he started to finally see a little bit. And then the kicker was, I told him, I said, we've had agents try to be realtors in our company. They come into and they just don't have the knack. They can't even sell one house. Some people come in and they can't get it rolling. They can't, and then they just give up, and I told him that 1 out of every 9 realtors succeeds. Only 1 out of 9. That's the stats.
Yeah.
And so you guys that are with Buy Referral Only, you're one of those 9. We're one of those 9 that have actually made it in this business.
Right.
And he goes, I didn't realize the odds were that low or that bad. And I said, you could become a realtor now that you're retired from an attorney. You could try it out and see how you do,
You just put together a video there, Jim. If you watch your playback, you could take a couple snippets out of this. And I was just, as Jim was going through this, I think as a group, we could come up with an outline, especially with your AI model there, maybe, to have where our value is. And so, I watched Joe Stump's thing last week, Wisdom Wednesday or whatever it was. all he basically said is, hey, we got a good program. Keep working by referral only, and you'll stay alive. Well, that's not true for everybody. And so then I've never watched a Tom Ferry webinar or anything, and he's coming up, and so I'm just trying to absorb all this different outlooks on this NAR website lawsuit. And basically he said the same thing that Joe said, because they don't know anything yet. They don't know what's going to happen till July, obviously. But keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up today just on what you don't know tomorrow. But they had a list of probably 100 and some odd value propositions that their agents provide. By referral might have 30. The what's the plane thing? The turbulence letter.
Right.
And we could take the best of all this stuff, the best of what we have in this group, and put together a list, and we could just talk about it in a video, and to help set ourselves apart. I think we could work together to come up with that, and then come up with a platform with the AI. So that's my thought.
What's not important about is what we do that everybody else does. What's important is that we help get transactions closed. And it's because we think outside the box, because we have these conversations about how do you do it in your state? How do I do it in my state? It's because we are going beyond our expertise to learn more and gain more knowledge, so that when we're negotiating, we can get things done. And I think that ability is super crucial, and we do not brag about that nearly enough.
Yeah, and I agree what you're saying. Turn this volume on. But we, so a consumer out there is assuming that their friend is as good as what we're just describing. But I think we have to go back to saying, hey, 1 in 10 agents make it past 5 years. Or, you may know somebody that started out being an agent, and they're not an agent today. Well, we're an agent as a group, and making the video, we'd say about ourselves, I'm an agent for 20 plus years. I've beat the odds because I have this background knowledge, and I'm learning every day. So do you want to use a 3-year aged agent or a 20-year experienced agent? And I think that video needs to show, and that's a nice way of pat ourselves on the back is our success without gloating our success.
And I think that's part of the picture, but we were once an agent that was only 3 years in the business as well. But some people are cut out for the business and some are not. I honestly feel that there's some people that can't wrap their head around how we do what we do.
Right.
They can never just catch the vision of it.
And I think that's what we could work together to get it out there, get it on paper so that we can make a video of it. And I don't have the answer. I'm just blowing stuff out here to get ideas from you guys.
I know one of the value adds that I do with, especially, part of it's like targeting specific people. So like, I love working, with people that are moving up or moving down that are successful. And so one of the things that I do is once we do the do not buy tour and know what they're looking for, when there's 10 homes that might match their criteria, me or my showing partner, we go preview the homes first, because sometimes you just show, you walk up to it and because all the pictures lie. And we knock out. So like, hey, look, there was 10, we previewed them all. You need to come look at these 3, like that's a small thing, but that saves a ton of their time, kind of the preview for the busy person. What are things that you guys do that's different that helps them get what they want?
Well, one of the things I think we need to demonstrate is that we're more interested in saving them money than pocketing our own money. That's how I look at my business. And that's why it's grown, because I'm more concerned about them making or saving money than me making a paycheck.
I'm going to say that that's a really,
I'll have a paycheck anyways.
That's a great statement to make right now, because I feel like a lot of realtors right now are just so worried about their commission. They're not worried about the client because of what could happen. And we need to have the mentality that we're not thinking about our commission. I mean, we are, but like God's going to provide, like sellers are going to understand that we have to get paid. And if our buyer can't pay us our commission, then they may not buy your house. Do you want to sell your house? Like, you know what I mean? It's just that reality is going to set in again, and then everything will kind of work out again. Like Jana was saying in the last call this morning, is that we kind of have to let this thing just unfold. And we have to not be greedy. We have to realize that, people are going to say, well, I don't want to buy a home without a realtor. I need you. I need you. You know what I mean? Well, they need us. Now, those cocky ones that don't think they need us, we don't need them. They're not a 5-star buyer.
That's perfect. You said.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I just had a friend refer me to someone yesterday. He's like, well, my buddy went online and he bought a house at auction yesterday. Sight unseen, gave him $3,000, 15 grand non-refundable deposit money as the contract. He already signed the contract. Doesn't get the title, doesn't get the money back if the title search comes back bad, none of that. And to me, that was just a really great example. Like I've seen people that don't have buyer's agents unless they're professionals, like there's some professionals that like they're good at it, but man, they can just get hosed.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that people need representation. And the minute you try to represent yourself, you're probably going down I don't care if it's real estate or whatever it is. That we're in a society where we need a professional. Like you're not going to catch me working on the electrical on my house, for example. I'm not I'm going to get shocked. I'm going to probably my house is probably going to burn down. I mean, I need to hire a professional. I need that representation. Even though I might figure it out with YouTube, right? I might, but I have nothing to fall back on but myself if something goes wrong. And as a realtor, there's a lot to fall back on. We have errors and omissions insurance. We have all kinds of things that can protect them. We're also, when you're a member of the Association of Realtors, you have the code of ethics, which I relearned that again. Like, it's like, you've got to have that code of ethics. Like, we need to be talking about that when we are with our buyers and sellers, not just sellers, but buyers. There's another good one. Say, if you're not hiring a realtor, you're hiring just an agent, you're not getting the code of ethics. And I got from the National Association of Realtors, which is one good thing of the National Association of Realtors, they actually print out a abbreviated version of the code of ethics. And that should be a part of your initial consultation. When you sit down with a buyer, you should talk to them about that. So I shouldn't be shooting you like Joseph. I shouldn't be shooting you. I won't do that on April 15th, but sorry about that.
It kind of makes me think, Tony, I'd love, like yesterday when we were talking, we actually talked about, like, if I was going to refer someone to a realtor or a lender, what's my criteria? And it's like, have they been in the business enough to, have done 100 contracts, I think is what it ended up being. Like there was this list of stuff, and it's cool. Like together we can come together and create a criteria that, like, all of us do unique things, and we can create the criteria where we are the logical choice. I mean, that's what businesses do. And it makes me think of, do you guys know who Joe Polish is? He's Dean Jackson's friend. He was in carpet cleaning, and I was looking at his consumer guide the other day. I'm going to share it. When this is the carpet cleaning guide that he created, the consumer's guide to carpet cleaning, and this is kind of his lead magnet. And, this is all the stuff that if you're looking at carpet cleaning, what you're looking for, how to not get ripped off, misconceptions, which method cleans the best, things to avoid, the importance of value and price. So, he starts talking there. Do you want clean, healthy carpet? No risk guarantee, 4 steps. And as you go through, like the first part, it's, hey, this is a consumer guide, look through it, so here he starts off, the common ripoffs, this would be what, we, what are red flags? And then he goes into, something else that they want to know, 8 mistakes to avoid. Then he talks about importance of value and price, and, he's starting to justify why you want to pay him. And, then he's got his guarantee, and then it comes down to his offer, now if you'd like to get an exact written quote, please give me a call. And, we could probably put heads together, create something like that.
It's really cool. That could be part of your consultation. Go ahead, Dale.
I sorry to interrupt, but there's your offer that you were talking about, Charlie. That's probably where you got your idea. But if we did a short, 30-second video saying, hey, I don't know what it would say yet, but something about you've heard a lot about the new commission hoopla going on. And I'd just like to share, click below to receive your free guide, consumer guide to real estate commissions, something like that.
What if it's the consumer's guide to buying a house?
Yeah. Consumer's guide to our value proposition. I don't know, something, but I think you're onto something there. That would be very helpful for everybody.
We need to
this lawyer
from their feature to benefit, not ours. So it needs to be nothing to do with us or what ours doing or what commissions or what all that fake news is going on right now. It's all bullshit. We just need to get out of that. We need to put out value, value, value. I will tell you from experience, I've done 30 years in real estate. I've never paid anything ever during home inspection. I have never dropped my commission in 30 years. And I've never not been paid by a buyer because we've done a buyer's broker agreement for 30 years. We don't have these issues because we show our value. And I only want to work with people like me who will pay for value. I don't hire the cheapest electrician. I hire the best. I attract those people and I keep them in my world. And then they refer me those type of people. And we all have that power because we're all BRO. So we're ahead of this game. And so the reality is all we have to do, not all we have to do, but we just need to go out and show our value. We've made a big mistake in our industry. The attorneys are getting paid because they have to identify every single thing they do to get paid for the hour. I spent 15 minutes calling your wife and she was nasty to me. And that's what they log, right? We log nothing. We try to make everything beautiful and seamless for the client. They know nothing about what we've done. And at the end of the day, they saw that we wrote a contract, showed them property and got paid $20,000.
Yeah.
So our value has to be at the beginning, which is what we've been doing for years is here's the 100 plus things we're going to be doing for you throughout the transaction. And then here's the hurdles from Joe, the hurdles. Here's the things that are going to happen, some of them, and here's how we're going to handle this. So if we all took on that idea of what you two all are talking about is this list and start using that as the value proposition, you will never have this issue. Your buyers will pay you. They buy value. And let me tell you, there's dentists right now that don't take insurance. There's doctors who don't take insurance. Do you know who they get? Cash buyers who want the best service. So this has been going on for a long time, and we all are in that position. We just have to think we're worthy of that. And we all are. So I think this group of any group could come up with a amazing master list for what we do for buyers and what we do for sellers. I know I have 100 plus for buyers, and I have 170 something for sellers already that are what we do. So I know we could all collaborate these lists and really have a great presentation. And one last thing to somebody's point is, for buyers, I just realized for sellers, I have a beautiful book. It's a beautiful bound book I lay in front of every seller. It goes through everything they want to know about me, our marketing, and everything we do for them. And then I send my buyer's agent out into the world, and he has nothing, nothing in hand. And I went, oh my gosh, so we are designing a buyer's agent presentation just like I have for sellers, so that he has something to go through that shows that we donate a lot of money to the Children's Miracle Network, and that we have community ties, and how long we've been in business, and Google reviews, and all that stuff that we all do for listings. We really haven't, I don't know about you guys, but we haven't been doing that for buyers ever. Wouldn't it be cool to hand a buyer a trifold that, here's who we are. Ask me questions. Let's talk about this. So I think we just have to get better as a group at realizing we have so much value as lenders and realtors and the things we do, but we're so good at hiding it. We just don't tell anybody what we're doing. We're all like a bunch of secret agents running around making everybody's transaction kumbaya, and they don't know why we're paid. Why are we paid? We know, but they don't.
I'm a little bit guilty with that, but I do have a great buyer presentation, Tony. And I don't always use it as much as I use the seller consultation presentation. And I think that now I'll be doing it more and more. And I think that if we don't have one at all, now's the time to build that, right? Yeah.
It's the time to do it.
If you guys want to share, we could do some sort of, sorry, my dog's going nuts because of a construction crew, but we could, if we share our stuff, and we could then take that and create from it, because my state is different than your state. So I have to do some things differently than you, and it's going to go hyper local anyways, all of this stuff. But we could all kind of grab and use that to make buyers presentations. And I'm with Jim on this other thing that came up before. Strong sellers agents are going to make sure that these brokerage fees are already negotiated. It's the ones that aren't strong agents, and they're going to see those houses are going to have a variance because they're not going to sell, and it's going to come back around if it has to, or those agents are going to disappear from our marketplace because it's time to get rid of the 50% didn't sell a house, one house per year in the last 5 years. That's nuts.
Right.
Another thing I'm sorry to turn this whole thing into this whole thing, Charlie, but I
think this is about showing our value, and we've Girls While You Sleep right now as kind of the Trojan horse to like really keep this in front of our people. So this is powerful.
I think it's giving us so much content for video, and that's what we're focusing on. And we're also focusing on getting those uploaded so you can post them for us. And then I also think that the more we put out, I've already put out one video, by the way, already. If you guys want to check it out, it's on Facebook. And I sent it to my clients as well. I email blasted it to my clients so they could watch it. And that's how I got into a conversation with that attorney and a couple other really close clients of mine. But then on top of it, I think what I've gotten out of this Zoom call is that we really do need to do a better job, at least I'm speaking for myself mostly, on my buyer initial consultations and just making them 100% like, no, we got to do this. Because you want to be visible through video and through social media and through everything you do, so that when you walk into their home or they walk into your office or you walk into Starbucks and you have that consultation, they're already like, you're the agent. Like that's what video and some of these things can do for us, is that they pretty much have already picked you. You're just educating them on the initial consultation. That's what it ends up becoming, more education, so that they see that, kind of like what you were saying, Tony, they don't see your value until you tell them what you're doing. And once you tell them what you are going to be doing during the transaction, and even if you don't tell them later, it's going to be in their head that this is what you do. And they're going, wow, I really do need a realtor. I really do need you. And now I know why. Because people don't even know what to ask a lot of times. They don't even know what to ask. They're just like, they just want to buy a house, you know?
I think you hit on something there, Jim, is they don't know what to ask. So if we give them that idea of what to ask, they're going to be asking the other agents out there, and the other agents won't have an answer. So then they're going to come back to us.
Or they won't be a member of they won't be a realtor, they'll be an agent, or they won't have errors and omissions insurance or something. Or they won't have the buy referral only language that we have. They won't be on video like we are. They won't even, you know what I mean? Like, we can make it. Go ahead.
Rather than tell them what to think, we want to tell them what to ask. And when we're the only people that have the answers, they're obviously going to come back to us, because they're going to be seeing some referrals while you sleep, so on and so forth. And as far as a video series, I think we could, depending on how our list comes out of what we do, we could just do an initial video saying, hey, I'm Dale Flayton. I just want to introduce myself, whatever. And here's what I do for buyers. Go down the list, and at the bottom of the kind of like your buyer's guide is click this link for your copy, or click this link for, episode 2 of this video that describes buyer's agency agreement, that describes home inspections, describes this. And then as the so next month, or the next series of video loops that you put new into the market, it might say episode 2. If you want to see the episodes the episode that you missed, click this link. But they have to have a way to grab it from the video or from the text in the referrals while you sleep, is what I'm thinking. So they can stay in that loop.
Yeah.
And, my suggestion, so, I've been talking for a while about being able to take a long video and splitting it up into little clips.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually getting to where we'll be able to do that with a few people as a beta test. And I mean, so my suggestion would, I love what Tony Ray said. Like, if we can, create a Google document, or like something where we can all kind of put what we do, or maybe upload it into the Facebook group. And then, we can kind of create our own consumer guide with that. And then do a duo with it. Because then we'll be able to split up that duo video into little clips.
And there may be things that Jim does and Dana does and Tony does, but I don't do that. So I can take that out of my list.
Exactly.
And make my own custom video, which we're all going to do our own custom video. But if I have an idea that there's things that we do, but we don't even know we do it, is so common.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm having a hard time making a list of more than 6 items in my mind, because you just go do it.
And, I think that's something, I don't know if me and Tony, right, we were talking about that when we were creating the list. At first, we were like, there's just one thing. And then like, all right, here's one more. And then all of a sudden it clicked, and then just like, we kind of remembered, this. And then yesterday we were going through the list again, doing our video, and like, it got more detailed even. Like, as we go through it, there is, you're right, there's so much expertise in this room that each one of us has, that, you know, as we were just explaining everything, I was getting overwhelmed, and it's what I do.
Yeah, we kind of, like as agents and lenders, we kind of work on an ongoing basis. We take trials and we work on them one at a time. And then we don't, and if you look at the end of the transaction, you probably worked on 20, 30, 40 things that help get that transaction closed. And you don't even realize how many things you did to get to that closing celebration. And if you have that, I love what you're saying, Charlie, because once you start putting it down, you realize, man, I really do a lot. It's like overwhelming almost. But when you're handling it one at a time, we help our clients, and it's like it's our life. Like this is how we live. It's how we live and breathe. It's like, it's almost like breathing to us. To the client,
Yeah,
that's the value. That's the value, because the clients haven't breathed a transaction for many, many years, probably, or maybe never. And we're breathing it every day. And we just take it for granted. We almost take it for granted. If we put it down on paper or we put it down on video, then it's like, wow, like this is what we do. This is my life.
Right.
So, yeah.
I need help making that list, because like I said, I can think of, just a few items. Because you just go beyond, and whatever pops up, you just take care of it.
Well, if all of us share together what those things might be, we could probably
It'd be really helpful for me.
come up with 100 things. We would never put 100 things on our list, but we'd probably pick and choose, like you said, Dale. We'd probably, well, these 20 or these 25 work best for me. I don't want to overwhelm my client on the initial consultation, but these are the 20, 25 biggest things that I do for you.
Mhm.
And you could only think of 6 right now, but there's a lot more.
Are you guys using action sets in the BRO CRM?
No, nothing different than what they've already got made.
So we spent years loading everything in because I needed to be able to tell the buyer's agent what to do and our assistant what to do. So there's over 200 action set items for a buyer and a seller in my system.
Wow.
And why I say that is because that's everything we do. It's already noted, because I'm telling my assistant, look up permits, find out what permits we have on this property. The simplest things that you two are talking about, we already have all those listed. And if you're using action set, you've already done a lot of this work because it's in there. Besides the hurdles is how to solve problems that come up. The actual action set items are stuff we already do.
It's a good point, Tony. Like, so I've been with Buyer Referral Only since 2001. And I remember, especially in the first 10 years of Buyer Referral Only, I mean, we were creating like action lists, and I would create them for my assistant, and so she had to check off all these things. Well, back then on the outside of the paper folder, right? We don't do so much of that anymore. It's all done electronically, but back then she literally had to hand check everything off as we were going through the transaction, and those are the kind of things I think you're talking about, if you want to share those, Tony. But I think I know I still have some of those same kind of lists as well, but I think we need to modernize them a little bit. I feel like I have some of this, but I need to update it. This is a perfect time to do updating, update things, because of all the changes that are happening. We need to change it based on what's going on right now and update it. That's
what do you think would be the best way for us to collaborate on this? Would it be in the Facebook group? Would it be?
Make a drive and send us a link to a folder, and then we could all upload to that same folder. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Easier for us to upload there and download from that folder.
I like that.
Yeah, that would be good for me. So something I just thought of too is, like myself, I'm having a hard time thinking of my standout things that I do. I'm going to go to all my clients last year and go to BombBomb and just make a video saying, hey, I need your help. What were some things that I did for you that stood out? And I can use that as the tool to come up with ideas as a value proposition.
They might surprise you in what they tell you.
Yeah, something that I'm possibly not even thinking of.
That comes natural to you, and to them, it was a big deal.
Yeah, and that's what other people are going to want to hear. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, because it comes from them. It's more real. It's like, well, this is what this person said. I helped them buy a house, and they felt like, there'll be things like, really honing in on the inspection, helping them through that process, for example. There's a million things that you could put in there, to be exaggerated a little bit.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful that we don't get too long of a list, because people might start dozing off and snoozing. And
That's why I
mean,
said you come up
see a
with,
list of 100. I'm not going to read it.
no, you come up with the top, maybe even the top 12 or the top 20, or something. Come up, 12 is always a good number.
Mhm.
Well, part of it, I think it depends how you use it, right? Like if you've got a long list, you can, like the 88 types of turbulence, like I'll show it to them, but I don't go over each one.
Well,
Right.
and just like the plumbing thing that you showed us, Charlie, there wasn't 100 things on there. There was
Right.
like key things that I mean, the plumber, did I say plumber? It was a carpet cleaner.
Yeah.
So the carpet cleaner put like key things that he or she felt that was really, really important, that
Yeah.
and
And
I can promise you that there's no other carpet cleaner doing that.
Yeah.
And-
It was like 4 ripoffs, 5 misconceptions, 8 mistakes. The 3 things of importance of value and price.
And those items
See,
that
Dana?
he had in that list are things that are keeping clients from calling because they're unsure. So our list, when we're making it, can be focused towards the same thing. Why are people afraid to get a pre-approval for a loan, or even talk to a lender? Same thing. Why, what's keeping you from calling or reaching out to me after I've been sending you emails for 2.5 years? So if we show that value proposition, it'll take the resistance away. I think the value proposition, it should be geared towards resistance.
It's definitely time for an update for sure. But I do have to take off, you guys, myself.
All right.
I do too.
Thank you. Yes.
I will send you guys this consumer guide folder, and I'll post it in the Facebook group as well. And yeah, we'll compile that. That seems like a good thing for the next 90 days or so.
Yeah, let's work on that.
We got to
Awesome.
be ready. We got to be ready every single month for more and more talk about this. And then when July 1st hit, we got to really be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have it ready.
That's right.
Gary, Jessica, thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys. Have a good day.
Tony,
You too.
right? I'm gonna hop on the link from yesterday in just a minute. All right, see y'all.